What is up, good people? Live on the interwebs, coming to you from the glorious states. The states that exemplify fitness, health, and longevity. The states of...
Keep going.
I can't keep this going. Alabama and Mississippi. Anyways, Dex Hopkins, welcome. The 2022 Open is here. We're excited. We're pumped.
I wish we could have the Rock come in finally.
Yeah. By the way, how did you, real quick before we get into that, how'd you feel about that? Yeah.
What?
The Rock at the Super Bowl. I thought it was a little odd. Was it a little odd to you?
I don't think the Rock anywhere is odd. Are you kidding me?
Oh, okay.
How dare you? Okay, Rocky Maivia. Okay, maybe you didn't watch WrestleMania 10. His debut came out skinny with the things and the hair, and now look at him. Just the American Samoan dream.
Yeah.
175 pounds plus of muscle since then. His hat size has grown 4 inches.
I don't know how that dude keeps getting
proof
bigger,
that,
but he does.
I do. I absolutely do. 100%.
Oh.
Hard work, determination. What's that rap song say?
You talk about the
Tech Nine song. He explains it all. It's
the Tech Nine song. So obviously we got the news today that the wall walk is back. It's a 15-minute AMRAP, 22.1 15-minute AMRAP. Everybody loves a good AMRAP. Man, I hate AMRAPs. I want it 4 times. Anyways, AMRAPs, 3 wall walks.
I want a finish line.
Yeah, right. The workout is AMRAP 15, 3 wall walks. They're back, baby. You thought it was a joke last year? It's not a joke. It's for real. It's staying. 3 wall walks, 12 alternating dumbbell snatches, 50 and 35 for the male, female, respectively, and then 15 box jump over with the asterisks on step down. What's just the first thoughts that come to your head?
My first thought is not a lot of reps of things that this is before I saw the step down. Long time domain, not a lot of reps, and 3 was like the gas pedal number of wall walks for me, and I assume most people, if it's not, if you're trying to be any kind of competitive, and it's a good number for people who are not. Maybe you're the class superhero that's like, also great lawyer, attorney, whatever it is, just classic CrossFit Gen Pop people. And numbers are great. The step down, cool. I don't see objectively, it's kind of contradictory to me just from a mechanical standpoint that I'm going to let you do this real just pressure in your T-spine, range of motion, upper back thing, but also not give you the freedom to express maybe the only athleticism you could probably put forth in this and rebound the box jump, which I get. How dare you? But I like the workout. But that's just how my brain works. And also, like, box jump overs, selfishly, one of my very few, I feel like, superpowers. I love those. I'm a creature of rhythm. If the right song is on, who knows how long I could rebound box jump overs. Atomic Dog, great song to do them too. But I don't mind the workout. I think it's great. But there's no, like, separator other than a million transitions. I mean, it is pure work capacity, classic CrossFit triplet. It is that. So if you don't get on a meme on Monday or Tuesday because you fell off the box or, you threw the dumbbell across the room, I mean, it's very straightforward. Equipment-wise, you don't need a lot. I would say keep your hands dry and keep the floor dry. So it also means no pop in the top if you're smart. I did see a video last year of a guy rip the shirt off, do your thing, brother, does the rock thing, does a wall walk, hand slips, and now you're a meme for John to pick apart on Make Watts Great Again. And that's, you don't want that. That's your worst fear in the open. So, shirt on, sweatbands on. I tell you what I do like is that adopting the mandatory layout from quarterfinals into the open. I think that's great. What else did they change? Oh, the standard for the tape. Yes. It is so it's no longer like specific. It's not, hey, you lay on the floor top of your shoulder. Now it is 60 inches for the gentlemen from the wall,
Correct.
55 for the ladies. So that's cool. I'll be punished a little less. Thanks for the 2 inches CrossFit. It's pretty on brand. But they didn't change much. I do like the adopting the mandatory floor thing. That's cool from kind of spillover from quarterfinals.
Yeah, I do think that is some way to standardize it, because you've been in gyms, I've been in gyms where you got the one guy or gal that's literally setting up in the tightest triangle humanly possible, and granted, I'm not saying there's anything bad about that, but I also like when we're all doing the same things the same way. And I think it's easier to compare apples to apples. And certainly when we get, and we won't get ahead of ourselves, but certainly when we get into things like quarterfinals where it becomes a little bit more complex. I mean, we only have a simple triplet here, so it's really linear in the way you can transition. But when it starts getting, you got a rope climb here and a GHD there, no, I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan. As far as, like, as you start to look at this and helping people do the best that they possibly can, you start looking at preparation and specifically how to warm people up. Like, what's your general thought process on getting warm? Because I really think for this workout, there's definitely a better way to do it, and then there's a really, really crappy way to maybe not get warm, or maybe not activate those scaps, or not get those shoulders warm. Because let's be honest, I mean, this is a lot. It's very shoulder intensive. And there's especially with the movement like a wall walk, this high time under tension. Those things aren't quick.
Mm-hmm. It's an underrated amount of volume, like just through weird movements, right? Time under tension, if you're not very efficient on wall walks, is going to be ugly scap wise, and the overrated part to me is the trunk. So your core's going to be blown up, and then going to the dumbbell, if your hinge is not your strongest movement, so a little back. If you can't get the butt cheeks and hams involved, maybe as you get deeper, you start to bend the legs a little more, cruise some quad. And then the box jumps is just the coordination of it and how you deal with those two things, and how efficient you are and breathe. I think putting the no rebounding in is going to make for a good breather for people. But warm up wise for me, I think we decided it's purely aerobic, and a little, aerobic limiter on top of the muscle fatigue limiter is going to be a big deal. But I would say if you don't get sweaty on this one, and I mean like a good old froth going before you start this workout, you have made a mistake. It appears to be one you can go in cold on, but you'll probably find out in the first 2, 3, 4 rounds that I have made a mistake. So I would say you definitely, I'm spending 10 to 15 on a machine. And my golden rule, kind of the golden triangle for me, I think most people is scaps, butt cheeks, and trunk, which is this entire workout. So your crossover symmetry, whatever you like to do, just general, get the blood flow, get the things prepped to take on that workload. And for me, it's going to be, especially at a high level, like if the Open is your Super Bowl, getting the quarterfinals is the peak of your season. You definitely want to nail down the details of this workout, because that's what it is, a very detail-oriented workout. What is my footwork going to be in each transition? Because there are so many. What is my footwork going to be on the box jumps? Because I have to step down. It's probably going to be something people aren't very familiar with. I can think the last time I saw somebody consistently jump down for a lot of reps at a competition was Regionals 2014 on that chipper.
Yeah.
You had people doing a lot of weird. I think Spieler that year had his watch out doing Tabata, weird stuff. But I think you get yourself aerobically warmed up for sure. I'm activated, scaps, core, trunk. My hips feel good. I've ironed out my hands on the way to and from the wall, what my feet are going to be going to the dumbbell, how I'm going to cycle it, and breathe, because there's a lot of space in this to breathe, which also means there's a lot of space for you to rest. A lot of kind of dangling of that, hey, man, take a break carrot, especially when you step down. So I would say if you don't, we're going to ease into the movements. I'm going to get my heart rate up, do some wall walks, heart rate's up, dumbbell snatch, pair those things. And I'm going to ease myself into maybe a full speed round or two, or not full speed, but ironing out the details of my transitions. Something that I'm going to be able to get lost in for 15 minutes, because honestly, there's really no skill limiter. Is your aerobic capacity there to be able to push? Is your commitment level to the details of it, and just being able to march out your pace and maybe save that gear for the last 2-3 minutes? Because I think Daniel Brandon and them were getting about around, I know they started out around every minute 10.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'd be looking to, keep your rounds consistent and then save yourself a gear at the end to be able to push. Maybe speed your box jumps up. Maybe you're pulling the dumbbell down. But before that, man, yeah, you're getting in there like the 18-wheeler coming off the ramp. You're building speed onto the highway.
Yeah, and that's a great point because this workout and wall walks are something that I equate them to push-ups. It's like they feel great until they don't, and then you're like, oh man, I just hit a wall, and it's tough to get them back, so to speak. And I think and Nick Fowler made this comment earlier on our coaches call, and I think it's worth sharing again here because I thought it was such an insightful piece. It's like if you took this entire workout and it's 3, 12, 15. And you doubled that rep count, so it was 6, 24, 30. Let's just say for hypothetical here, how then would you approach it? Does that change the way you would approach the workout? And if the answer is yeah, it would change. I would slow it down. Like go out at that pace and try to sustain that pace. To your point, an 18-wheeler. Kind of ramping up there, and I think that's a good way of putting it because I think you can get really lost. But man, I did a workout just the other week. It was 2 rounds, 25 wall walks, 150 double unders, and 15 strict deficit handstand push-ups. And it was, but well, no. Here's
L hates you.
Yeah, L does hate me. But here's the story. My first 15 to like 18, I felt amazing. It was the last 7 that I was like, what? Like, who just pulled the plug? And
yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
The very real advice that I'm giving myself and now other people is start a touch slower than you think. To Dex's point, I mean, these elite level athletes are getting anywhere from a minute 15 to a minute 21. A minute 21 a round gives you 11 rounds as we calculated it out. So if you're look up after doing one round and go, ooh, I just did this in under sub 30 or sub 130,
yeah,
you probably went too fast. Is a good marker.
Or the actual start. If you did it in 105 to 1 minute because you got kind of frantic, it's not you have made a mistake. You have went into the deep water way too fast.
Yeah,
and yeah, to your point, it is one of those things that goes, but the worst part about it, and like say it was strict handstand push-ups, you get to stand and kind of do the old shakeout. On this one, you got to lay face down. You lay face down. You do the dead body. So not only are you blew it up, now you got to lay there like just a whoop puppy and just kind of soak it in for a second. So, that's what we had written down as the limiters, man, was your aerobic capacity, and the muscle limiter I think is going to be in the shoulders. I think what people will be shocked by is how much shoulder fatigue they get going through a few rounds of that big scap demand, T-spine demand. And just mechanically, I'm going into wall walks. I'm probably going to get a little bit of that flexion extension. Mm-hmm. If not, I'm fighting it really well. So I'm burning these little muscles. And then I'm going to go into rotating, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody's rotating in that upper back for your dumbbell snatches. So some things are going to get fried. But I think it's just breathing, again, and marching out your steps. I like to equate it to talk to one of my athletes earlier. It's going to be like you doing your footwork on bar face and burpees, right? Like, I can't remember the first time I heard the analogy, but the old paint in the feet. I want to hit the same footprints every time. Yeah, and so it's going to be, you could nuance it. Like I could think if I'm going to set this up and they didn't have a floor plan, I'm going to do like what you said. I'm cramming everything, no steps. Like really run the risk of landing on the dumbbell. Just if it's 2018, I got to sell my soul in the open to get to regionals. I'm definitely going to do that. But having this set up, I'm going to finish on the other side of the box. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of steps back to the wall. So your kind of your non-frantic sense of urgency is going to have to be really consistent until it's not time to, just be a sense of urgency and get frantic. And maybe at the end when you save that gear. Because if you watch Noah and Pat marched out the steps the whole time, didn't really change pace. Noah, my man, came out hot, had a pretty good lead until he didn't, like you were talking about. And it was the old lay in the puddle of sweat, wall walk rest.
And it gets
I can't
nasty.
wait to see what's better as far as like, you got to just take a nap. Because I'm like, I've been playing with these. I just did a workout the other day it started with 21 wall walks, but it was equal rep thrusters. So it's 21 down to 3, which was disgusting. But it made thrusters way easier.
That's like
But
70 something wall
yeah, and
walks.
so I'm.
Oh,
It's a lot. It's a lot,
yeah, it's a
right? Yeah.
lot.
When something stupid comes up, man, we're gonna pound it. So I did that. But what I'm trying to figure out, just I told you, I'd never felt so punished for being big. I mean, not by pistols, by
Yeah.
nothing that has ever come out. I mean, just wall walks. I felt like they punished me. And also, last year I was not really training, but I hop both feet up. It helps me keep the standard one, right? A lot of people had to redo last year because they moved a hand before both
Mm.
um, feet were on the wall. So I jump my feet up now, and it looks like it's silly, but it cuts my time under tension down because I can get the
Mm.
reps started faster. And it kind of feels like I'm walking backwards on my hands, which is cool because I'm money for that. But it'll be cool to see the nuance, um, just kind of person to person for the higher level athletes. And like I said, like last year, man, I love the flow of this season. I hope this is something they stick with. New regime, whoever, God knows who will buy and whatever, sell the company or who's running at the show. Um, but for Boz's first open workout program, I think this is great. Adrian Bosman did my L1. He's always a pleasure to
Oh,
interact
that's
with when I
cool.
see him. So hats off to him for a good start. Yeah, yeah. So good start. I think it's a good one. It's going to be a Friday Night Lights banger. This will
Mm.
be a really easy one to set up. I do like that logistically because that's, as a cat that's running affiliate for Friday Night Lights and stuff like that, this is going to be like a real good visual one to set up and see people.
Mm.
It's easier for judging, stuff like that. So it'll be cool, man. I don't mind it. I dig it. I think, the things that are always the worst are the things that look the simplest in CrossFit. My least favorite thing is reinventing the wheel. I think when we stick to like the methodology at its heart, like it is,
Mm.
simple and effective. It's simple and
Yeah.
effective, like Michael Scott and Matt Torres, the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. So yeah,
Never
I'm
gets
excited,
old.
man. It's gonna be fun to watch. Um, Never gets old. Never. You miss 100% of shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott. But seeing this stuff going to quarterfinals, I'm still, I've not ranted about there being no rower. You mean to tell me that
Mm.
GHDs and stuff like that are a better indicator of your fitness than a machine? But
So I
this
think,
thing evolves and devolves.
well, I think a lot of that, and I don't want to get too much into the weeds here, has to do with money, sponsorships, money,
Oh,
money.
really?
Yeah, yeah. So
Hold on. Is that like an assault versus C2 thing?
we can talk about this off air. I don't feel comfortable
Oh
saying these things.
yeah,
Anyways, back to
I do.
back to
I know Tracy. That's a come up.
come up. I think if we could tidy
Yeah.
this up and really give the people what they wanted. I think as I was watching specifically and you said this earlier about painting your steps as you're walking over. I don't think this can be overstated. You had professional athletes, and I saw both. I think Bethany was the only one that did not do some level of like sideways lateral jump step thing. Bethany faced
Yeah.
the box the whole
She
time,
she stayed high too.
and
She stayed high.
but she didn't have this now. And I know, Danielle ended up getting her there by a few reps. But the point being is, footwork on this needs to be very methodical. For me, as I'm doing this workout, I am facing I mean, this is personal, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts. But for me, I'm facing the box, so head on, jumping up and doing the little turn technique on the box and just alternating which leg that I'm stepping down with and turning on, because that'll obviously, help kind of give some level of
You're gonna step down with the
balance.
same. You're gonna step down with the same leg. It will happen. You will not. You will
I
step
mean,
down 90% of them with your right leg. In the 2 rounds you think about it, you'll do 2 reps with your left leg. It will happen.
but do you? I'm curious. Are you a guy that's going to do the jump sideways thing and then step down, or I mean, do you? Just curious thoughts on kind of what I'm saying. I mean, that's a tiny little thing, but it's something that I saw a lot. 3 out of the 4 athletes deal with in stumbling on the box, not once, but like
Yeah.
a few times.
Yeah, so I mean, you removing the kind of athleticism, and I mean, I take the athleticism part out of it. I mean, you're adding a lot of steps, right? Like, and that's what I
Mm.
talked about, that opportunity to stand around. Because I mean, think about like chippers, right? Like, hey, I'm going
Yeah.
to do X amount of reps, rest this long, move on, done with that movement. there's going to be so much. And you've seen people as they deteriorate through bar face and burpees, it turns from a step jump to a step, jump and turn. I think if you stick to whatever you're able to maintain, like for me, if it was bounding, I'm sideways. I'm not even going to look at the box. I'm grooving. On this, I may face it and do the same thing. Because I can get in a good rhythm of jumping forward, kind of doing my quarter turn, pivot on that whatever leg, and like I could say, hey, I'm going to try and alternate legs. I'm only going to turn one way like Zoolander, and I'm going to step down the same way every time. It'll happen. I'll even out my hips on the dumbbell snatches. But I think personally, for me, I'm probably going to do the same thing you're doing. I'm probably going to stay low, though. I'm tall.
Less effort.
I don't want to jump any more than I have to. Yeah, I'm probably going to be – and that's going to be the name of this game. Can you be fast in transition consistently? Can you stay dedicated to that when the hurt kicks in? Because it will. If you are an aerobic monster, the muscle fatigue will set in. If you are a muscle endurance monster, we're going to be huffing and puffing. And that's awesome. If you got both, cool, burn this thing down. I'll be interested to see what the top scores are for this because I know those were, Pat's a big-ish athlete. Danielle Brandon has the longest arms of any person ever, but I think that's so she can do the Stone Cold Steve Austin thing. It's my favorite thing to see her flip off the camera. She's so committed to it. But yeah, I'll be interested to see people like Carrie. I know she's retired, quote, quote, but there'll be people that are just monsters on this one. And that the good and bad of the season, man, it makes the second stage so much more accessible to people. Mm-hmm. But then like for higher level athletes, this is gonna be the last piece of the day in a training day, for the next 3 weeks. Everybody's living to get to semis and that's the show to get to the show. So that's what Friday Night Lights banger. For me, doing it tomorrow at 9 a.m. after some back squats and stuff. I think that'll be most folks that are trying to make a push. But are you going to do the twerk team jump up on the wall walks? Are you going to try it?
So the way I do my wall walks is I actually push my butt back first, like a good bit. And then, because see, some of these people just straight up like reverse burpee that thing. I don't personally like to do that. Push my butt back all the way to my heels and then crawl. And my goal is 1, 2, 3. I'm at the line. And granted that breaks down at some point.
Yeah.
And for me, I know the number it breaks down at. But I try to keep as much of a rhythm personally. And in my head, because I need something to focus on other than the pain, I'm literally counting in my head my hand steps 1, 2, 3 rep. And I'm doing that because for me it's not an aerobic workout. It's I'm going to run into muscle endurance before I run into I can't breathe, because it's just not enough reps of any one particular thing. However, those wall walks and those time under tension, and I think that's the thing you got to be really aware of is if you come out like a bat out of hell. Those last 5-6 minutes are going to be the most painful 5 or 6 minutes. Well, and quite frankly, to your point, it might not be painful. It might just be you lying in a puddle of sweat because you physically can't climb the wall anymore. So,
just taking the nap, brother. Just taking the nap.
So I think that's something. So in summation here, one, I think it's important to say slippery wall, the better, right? If you're on like a brick wall, I think Daniel Condon said that earlier, no bueno, it's not going to work. To Dex's point, my God, keep your freaking shirt on. If you got sweatbands, I think they would be pretty good and effective for something like this. In terms of your warm-up, really get those scaps and shoulders moving and activated, your rear delts, think about those types of things. I think the muscles you neglect quite often. There you go, Dex. And then as we've talked about, there's kind of two limitations. As Nick Fowler put it, you've got the aerobic limitation and you've got your muscular limitation. Figure out which one you're in so you know when the pain comes, when the limitation comes, when you're faced with that type of adversity, you're ready for it. And then last but not least, remember, the elite athletes did this in 121 a round, roughly. So if you are doing this at 121 a round, you either are going to the CrossFit Games or made a very terrible mistake.
Or you're gonna have a real good 5 minutes and then a back half of 10 where you're just really doing something.
And
this one's fun, man. There's no real skill other than you knowing yourself, and if not, you're gonna learn today. So yeah, it's gonna be exciting to watch.
All right, Dex. Thank you. Much love, brother. Good luck tomorrow as you crush it, and we'll talk soon.